Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. Well, Assam Finance Minister Ajanta Neog today tabled the first budget of the Himanta Biswa Sarma-led government in the state. Neog herself created history by becoming the first woman finance minister of the state to table the budget. The Assam budget for the fiscal year 2021-22 envisages to pave way for a self-reliant state, a self-reliant Assam with big focus on health, education and welfare schemes and also road infra and other infra. In fact, it would not be wrong to term today's budget as a welfare budget to an extent because first of all it ensured no additional taxes for the Aam Aadmi besides providing relief to small traders and artisans and those burdened by microfinance loans. The budget is also being seen as a fulfillment in a way of the BJP's major poll promises, including microfinance loan waivers, bid to recruit 1 lakh educated youths by the state government, and providing a further boost to social welfare schemes. Well, so far, so good. But we have a group of expert panelists today who will do a post-mortem, if we can say, of this budget, what it holds, what it means. Well, could it have been better? What's in store? And what does it mean for the state? What does it say? What does it say about the new government? To discuss the matter, I'm being joined in the studios in Guwahati by R.S. Joshi, former FINA president and industry expert. Welcome, Mr. Joshi, to this special broadcast. Janki Goswami of the Assam BJP is also with us in the studios in Guwahati. So is Congress's Kumar Mahanta, Dr. Ashwin Kumar Mahanta, Congress spokesperson, and Sriparna Baruah, Head Center for Industrial Extension, Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Guwahati, also joins us from the city. Northeast Life Editor-in-Chief Wasbir Hussain is also joining us in this discussion. But before we go ahead, let's very quickly listen in to what Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma had to say after the budget, and also we'll also listen in to an exclusive reaction from Assam Finance Minister Ajanta Neog.
Today is a red letter day in the history of Assam. For the first time, a woman finance minister, Srimati Ajanta Neog, has presented annual budget of our government in the floor of the assembly. She is the first woman finance minister to present a full budget in the floor. So we are extremely happy that a new landmark has been created in the floor of the house. In this budget, we have tried to implement all our election promises, whether it is a incentivization and waiver of microfinance loan, creation of 1 lakh new job in the government sector, continuity and expanding the horizon of Arunodaya scheme, or whether to actually demolish the digital divide, to provide smartphone to the class 9 and 10 students of the government schools with a free internet package, or whether it is establishment of 1,000 new hospital in view of COVID.
I placed this budget for the financial year 2021 and 2022 on the floor of the House. I prepared this budget not only as a mere statement of document of expenditure and receipt, but as a vision document for the next 5 years to come. While preparing budget, I kept in my mind two basic things that are present pandemic situation and another continuity of our development procedure. So I want to keep a balance in between the two. So my priority in the budget was to how to give relief permanently or any kind to the COVID affected people, and secondly to augment the state revenue in the rural sector, and also to expeditiously augment the development procedure of my state. I hope that this budget will definitely fulfill the hopes and aspirations of the people of my state. We have gave some statements in the budget that there should not be any further enforcement. So we'll keep a constant vigil on that area.
Well, Assam Finance Minister Ajanta Neog, they are terming the budget as a vision document of the government, and of course Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma terming it as a red letter day in the history of Assam. I'll take the reactions of the BJP on the Congress on this, but before the political reactions, let's listen in to a neutral perspective on the budget. Mr. Joshi, what is your first impression, your first assessment of the Assam budget 2021-22?
Indeed, a very good budget, a very good exercise by Honorable Finance Minister under the leadership of long-time Finance Minister now, who happens to be very, very dynamic leader of our state. First thing I must tell, this budget has been prepared under the shadow of pandemic. So notwithstanding pandemic, government's firm resolve to translate its all election promises through the budget is what we see in this budget. If we analyze, see everything that can be done under the pandemic, it feels as if there is no pandemic so far the budget is concerned, but it's prepared under the pandemic, shadow of pandemic. So we must give full credit to the government being their very first budget and empowering the lady finance minister to present the first budget of the new government. And if you analyze the allocation to various sectors, you would find there is a good jump, good increase in the various allocations of important segment of economy that augurs very well. And FM has tried to address all segment of society, be they in agriculture, health of course, infrastructure, yes, there is there, and the student community, and also there is a serious mention about the employment of 1 lakh youths. Some points I would say that I thought would be in the budget, but I am little bit disappointed that enough is not there for the industry in this budget. See, ultimately, government has its own limitations so far providing the employment. And here also I would appeal to the government, they must see the government's size is right size, not oversized, not undersized in providing the employment.
We will elaborate more on that in a few minutes' time. Sriparna, Baruah, well, in many ways, does this budget look like a pre-election budget rather than a post-election budget? What is your first impression of this budget?
Definitely, thank you so much. It's definitely a welfare budget. And as far as what we can ask for more, as far as the entire value chain is concerned, right from the rural to the semi-urban, I think it's very exhaustive. Starting on infrastructure, agri and allied has been a major focus, because if you look at Assam, I think agri and allied has been very rightly focused, and there the focus is again on becoming self-sufficient. Women is also being touched upon very well as a sector. We talk about education, we talk about health. I think we can't be expecting anything more, but as my previous speaker rightly said, there is less for industry. My expectation also was that we do something more for the micro, small and medium enterprises, which is there. And the other concern in my opening remarks, which I would like to say is, I was too much of doling out, because as it is in Assam, we don't have an entrepreneurial culture. Too much of doling out, too much of giveaways. What about institutional building? What about enterprise creation? While we have universities for culture, we have allocation for university of sports. Could we also? I was expecting something very, innovative on entrepreneurship. Maybe having more incubation centers. So this was my expectation for institutional building, for harnessing. It's not just giving money, but also bringing that, that drive in the youth, that to aspire to have the drive in achievement. And particularly when we are giving so much on education, could we have had something on entrepreneurship education also? So this was also my expectation. Maybe as time goes, I will again elaborate on that.
Wasbir, well, looks like a welfare budget, but that's not how the Assam government has projected it. They're saying it's a budget for self-reliant Assam, which will fulfill the aspirations of all sections of society besides steering the pace of growth of Assam. So what is your take on the budget? Well, now that we have heard reactions from the Chief Minister, the Finance Minister, we'll also hear some reactions from the opposition leaders in due course of time.
Well, Nabarun, this is a budget prepared with a humane touch, I would say. This budget comes in a very difficult time for the economy in the country, Assam included. Therefore, those behind the budget have made it with a great deal of human touch. That's how I would like to put it. And therefore, I am not surprised that it is a welfare-oriented budget. At the same time, what the government of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma wants to do in this budget is to show the people of Assam the roadmap of what his new government is going to do in the coming 5 years. As the Finance Minister Ajanta Neog has herself said, that she would look upon the budget as a vision document. Now, what I would like to emphasize here is that apart from coming up with welfare schemes like financial assistance to widows of COVID as well as COVID orphans, a midday lunch for the urban poor and so on, the government tries to give focus on agricultural revolution in the state, the blue economy, to give a lot of boost to the blue economy and agriculture and veterinary and horticulture sector. Perhaps the government has realized that we have waited enough for industrial development in the state and that now it is time to boost agriculture. Therefore, the focus is on agriculture. On the other hand, the emphasis is not lost on providing livelihoods to the unemployed, and that exactly is the reason in the government sector, within the limitations, the government has decided to come up with jobs for 1 lakh people, and towards that end, the 10 police commando battalions are being created that is going to absorb a lot of people. Apart from that, Nabarun, the emphasis on roads, the emphasis on education, bridging the digital divide by providing smartphones to the poorer sections of the society, and building up 1,000 hospitals is something which is absolutely unthinkable, and 5 new medical colleges. Of course, more than the medical colleges, what I am more excited about is the 1,000 new hospitals that are coming up. So these are things that we cannot ignore, and we have waited enough for industries. Yes, industrial development is extremely important. There has to be boost to the industrial sector, but boosting the agriculture sector, because the 75% plus percentage of our population is agrarian, I think that is going to give a lot way to boost up the economy in the state. This is my opening remark, Nabarun.
Absolutely. There is something that the government also envisages. A major part of Assam, a big chunk, over 60-70% of Assam is rural. Well, a great initiative. Janki Goswami, again, well, this is being seen as a welfare budget expected. But again, do you think somewhere, while there's a lot of doling out, there are a lot of schemes for the underprivileged, a lot of schemes for the students, a big boost to the health sector, big boost to the education sector, yes, but somewhere the job creation part still remains a concern. Yes, 1 lakh youths to be employed, educated youths to be employed in the government sector, but these are posts which are already there, lying vacant for some time, isn't it?
That's true, but first of all, I would like to emphasize, being a woman, I would like to talk about the point that for the first time in the history of Assam, the Assam budget has been prepared and presented by a woman minister, woman finance minister, and it is a matter of pride for us, me being a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party and me being a woman. I feel, I take immense pride in this fact. So thanks to the Assam Chief Minister, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, and our Finance Minister, Srimati Ajanta Neog, for presenting such a people-friendly, people's budget, and a budget which has been, I feel, prepared with a very empathetic approach, wherein the needs of the economically weaker section, the middle class, have been kept in mind. And to go into the detail of the budget first, I would also like to, highlight the fact that this time, if you see this budget, as one of our esteemed panelists has also pointed out, that this time the budget has been prepared in a very unusual circumstance, and that is the shadow of the pandemic. And keeping that in mind, if you see the relief, the economic relief that has been given to the microfinance borrowers, 26 lakhs, we have an odd 26 lakh figure of microfinance borrowers. They have been categorized into different categories so that they can avail the financial relief all in different categories depending upon their repayment mode, how they have been repaying the loans so far. Some fall into the NPA category, some fall into the financial, the due, it has been overdue, financial overdue category. Some fall into a category who have been paying the loan regularly, but the government has decided to give them also a one-time lump sum as an incentive. So that is a major feature of this time's budget. And also the human touch, as Mr. Wasbir Hussain has also pointed out. A big factor there is, to break the digital divide. The last 1.5 years we have been seeing our children, they're struggling with the online mode of studies. The students who live in the urban areas have been benefited because they, of course, have an approach to the digitalization. They have an approach to smartphones. They have devices at home, whether it belongs to their parents or whatever, but they have a device at home. The thought goes to those people, the students of the rural areas who attend government schools. What about those?
Absolutely.
If we give a thought to that in the last 1.5 years, how they must have struggled. Giving a thought to that and providing the decision to provide a smartphone to around 8 lakhs such students, I think it is a very, very welcome decision. I thank the Finance Minister, I thank our Chief Minister for thinking so deeply about the future of the students. And not only that, if you see the job creation, 1 lakh jobs have been promised to be given in 48 different departments. So I think this is one step ahead in this regard. And in future, we will also see, this is, as you said, this is about the posts that had been lying vacant for quite some time. But in future, I am sure more jobs will be created for the youth of Assam. And
of course, there's room.
Yes.
There's enough room there. But
Yes.
Dr. Ashwin Mahanta of the Congress, do you think any government could have done better under the circumstances? I mean, let's be honest, the country is still battling the second wave of pandemic. We are staring at a third wave of pandemic. Yes, growth, development is there. But what probably a state, a country needs right now is a humane approach and a welfare budget, which probably the government has tabled today. What's your assessment?
Well, Goswami, first of all, I would like to give you thanks for inviting us in a important this panel discussion. And on behalf of Congress Party also, I would like to congratulate ex-Congressian Congress
That's
party
okay.
man,
That's okay. I mean,
Ajanta Neog for being
that's
a first woman to represent a budget. First of all, you see, last time budget, we have to go to the feedback also. There should be accountability of the last budget also. So this time, if this budget is also Jumla, then it is a very difficult situation for us because already we have given a point that this is a pandemic area.
Let's first speak about today. We will come to our...
Yes.
Let's first listen to your reaction about today's budget.
No, that is my reaction because you see, if it is a Jumla budget, then ultimately after 1 hour, this budget will be forgotten by the people of Assam and forgotten by the finance minister and other people also. Then what will be the situation? Because last time also they have given a lot of promises which still they are not able to fulfill the promises. You see, in this budget, they have given a lot of allocation for transport department. What is the reason behind that? That should be a point of discussion because maybe they are purchasing a lot of buses or other vehicles and they have more fund for this, and they are not giving any allocation, very little allocation to flood controls and irrigation. You see, the flood is very much important for our state because it is affecting more than 25 districts of the state and affecting the around 43% of the land. So these things are, we should have
And let's also see
lot of
time
point of view to
education.
begin.
This time
Health.
there is a special emphasis on building embankment roads. If you see the budget, there has been a special emphasis of building embankment roads of around 1,000 kilometers, which will not only strengthen the road system but also strengthen the embankments to a certain extent. So if this budget, which is, I said, it's one of the most people-friendly budgets, and I also would like to mention one more point which I had forgotten in the first situation, that is, allotment of rupees 1 lakh to all the families who have lost at least one member, or this time some families have also lost more than one family members.
The extension of the Chief Minister's COVID relief scheme.
The provision of financial assistance to such families, that is also a very commendable measure. So as I have said that this budget has been prepared under special circumstances, we also have to keep that in mind. And already the Chief Minister has extended help to all the widows of the COVID families, COVID victim families, and the children who have been orphaned during the COVID situation.
The existing
So all
welfare
these
schemes
measures,
have
I
been
feel,
strengthened, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Mahanta? The existing
Well,
welfare schemes
definitely,
have been
this is
strengthened.
the
Can we deny that?
Definitely, this is the situation of in a pandemic situation. So definitely the people, those are affected by the COVID, we should have there should be backup for their family life. That is another thing. And budget is not for one sector only. The budget is for the whole the state development, and other things
Absolutely.
are related to all these things. So if you see regarding the tourism sector, is a very limited amount. In this pandemic situation, the tourism, those are the infrastructure, they can give more fund for the development of infrastructure, so that after the COVID situation will be over, the tourism will be coming, because tourism is a direct product. Direct amount is coming, advance amount is coming for the state. So I don't think this budget is always, if you see it is a friendly budget, I don't think it is a friendly budget, because it is sometimes we can say it is sometimes jumla also.
Jumla, we have to go for a very short break here. R.S. Joshi wants to make a point, but after this very short break. Welcome back. You're watching this special broadcast on Assam Budget 2021-22. If I can go back to Mr. Wasbir Hussain. Wasbir, well, mixed reactions here. The Congress spokesperson here has made some points, but very difficult, isn't it, to make a budget that can satisfy all, especially in the times of pandemic. Yes, welfare budget, yes, but then you say, why not a development budget? Why not a growth-oriented budget? I mean, of course, that's the role of the opposition to find faults, but that's okay. That's still a very difficult situation, isn't it? Could the government have done better under the circumstances, or do you think, considering the current situation, probably one of the best budgets that could have been tabled?
See, Nabarun, we can always say that the budget could have been better. That is always the case. The budget anybody can make a budget better. There is no doubt about that. But under the circumstances, I would say, in a situation where industry is not growing, not just in the Northeast, but across the country, there is a dip in industrialization. There is a dip in the prominent economic indicators because of the prevailing situation. It's not just in India, it's a global phenomena. Now, under the circumstances, what the government has done is to provide succor, not just to the middle class, but not just to the poor, but to almost everybody. In fact, the fact that the government has decided to provide a cooked meal during lunchtime to the urban poor, that is the reason why I said that the budget has been prepared with a lot of thought and with a humane touch. Because, you know, when you have the markets open from morning 10 o'clock to night 10 o'clock, you know, this destitutes and the poor living, staying in front of the railway stations, in front of temples and in front of mosques and all that, you know, they at least get food to eat. There will be good Samaritans who provide them food. But when you have a curfew in place, when you have the shops shutting at 4 o'clock, when the shopkeepers starts leaving at 3 o'clock, who takes care of these people? Because all the hotels and restaurants are shut. So in this kind of a situation, the government at least coming out to provide one cooked meal a day to people who have no shelter, people who have nobody to cater to their day-to-day needs, I think this is something which deserves huge lot of credit. And secondly, providing relief to the COVID widows, to the children, people who are having difficulties in continuing the online education. At the same time, you know, not forgetting the fact that you have to keep up the infrastructural development, road connectivity, embankments, because Assam is a flood-prone area, and giving focus on agriculture, horticulture, veterinary, and these kind of things. So we have waited, haven't we waited for 75 years? I'm not saying that, as I said in the beginning, industrialization is a focus. I would have been a very happy man if the government would have set up a vocational university in Assam this time. Vocational university is the need of the hour, because there are a lot of people who cannot afford to have a regular university degree, but there are a lot of people who would like to have a vocation, because there is already so much of emphasis on skill development. Why not set up a vocational university? But maybe the government is going to do that, but this is just a sneak peek that the government has provided as to its intent on bringing about progress and development in the state in the days to come.
Yes, rightly pointed out, Wasbir. Mr. Joshi, again, yes, we are talking about not much or almost nothing for offer as far as industry is concerned. But if we look at employment generation, of course, the government has touched the agri sector, the fishery sector, the weavers, well, trying to reach out to the rural masses, their livelihoods, bettering their livelihoods. Don't you think that can also lay the base for bigger things if implemented properly? And that is something that has been well thought out, and if well implemented, that can actually be a revolution, as the Chief Minister himself has mentioned.
I do agree with you. See, what the problem has been in our northeast India was the implementation. We could present a very good budget, but in Assam budget, I can tell you, see, the person who is at the helm of affairs, one thing everybody would agree, be their political opponent or otherwise, a person who can deliver. Another thing I would like to mention about the budget, see, the earlier interim budget was presented by none other than our Chief Minister that time. And generally what happens, that was the election-oriented budget, one can say, because on the eve of election, after election, when the regular budget is presented, most of the budget I have seen, I have been analyzing it for about 30-35 years, state and union budget. The scenario is that most of the promises done at the time of election are not given due consideration. But here is a continuation of promises made earlier in the time of interim. If I call it an extension of interim budget, it would not be wrong. So most of the things earlier placed in the assembly now continues with a more focus. So that's a really good thing. And see why I tell you that this government can deliver. At one point of time, the health minister that time, they announced so many medical colleges. People had doubt whether in this part of country we will have so many medical colleges or not. Now the reality is that all the medical colleges that time announced are now functioning. And that has really helped in taking on the corona this time. So see, poor people, they cannot just afford to go to private hospitals and others. So now the 5 medical colleges further not only will strengthen the number of doctors in our state, that will also boost the infrastructure, healthcare services. And like you mentioned, 1,000 PSCs that are going to be converted in regular hospitals, and 1,000 BSKs, really money. And they have promised that is going to be the treatment is going to be free. Diagnosis is going to be free. That's a really big thing. See, one thing in the digitization and human touch, I say there are so many features feel-good factors in the budget. One thing I have noticed, it's not the criticized government has again its resource crunch, etc. But why you start giving smartphones to class 9 and 10? Why not you start a bit earlier from class 5 onward? The ground realities in corona period, I have a granddaughter, she is just in nursery and the classes are online.
Absolutely.
So everybody, see, you cannot expect everyone to be online or to be on smartphone. The need of the hour is to start bit, maybe they will be giving consideration while the budget is passed in the assembly. So there are something. And another thing, see, Mr. Hussain rightly mentioned, industry could not perform. We need to address the basics of industry, why they could not perform. There is a, see, the time has come, we must, while addressing the basics, we must have something to attract private investment in the state of Assam, so that we have the sustainability on employment generation.
Sriparna, Baruah, you want to add to that?
Definitely, yes. I think what is most important is, we have been having so many universities. We are talking about industrialization. We are talking about agri and allied sector focus, and we are talking about also becoming self-sufficient in the agri and allied. Particularly, I also heard the Chief Minister talking about, what are the gaps in terms of, starting for fishery. How do we become self-sufficient in having enough production in the state itself? But my only thing is that taking advantage of the intent of the government and the allocation which has been done, can we also look at more of industry-academia interface? That's something I feel very important. We have said in the budget that we are looking at the agri sector, we will focus on, do a study, etc. So that I think holds good for any initiative for development that we are looking at. The most important thing is, we are disconnected as far as academics is concerned and as far as industry is concerned. So unless and until there is a match between what the industry needs and what the academia focuses, only then we can have a development which would sustainable development.
Is there also enough, okay, we expect the government, of course, we expect rightly the government to take proactive steps. Is there also enough encouragement for the government, for instance, to take certain steps related to industry? Isn't it a reciprocal relationship at the same time? Probably that could not be created. Of course, the government, the successive governments have to take the blame for that, but so in a way have to be the industry biggies. Probably that till now we haven't been able to create an environment where we can look up to the budget for something for industry.
No, it would be, even understanding that it's, after all, it's a value chain, right? When we talk about the agri, if we look at only agri as at the farmer level and SHG level, and we are not looking at from the industry perspective, it doesn't work out. We have to look at the entire value chain. Today we know that it's without innovation, without technology, we are nowhere, and the pandemic has given us even more experiences about how any sector which is not using technology has been so much handicapped. So in that context, whether we talk about industry, we talk about startups, we look at agri sector, the connect between the grassroots and the technology, people in the technology space, particularly the startups, etc. How do they solve problems using technology, innovation in the agri sector? Somehow that we always look at startups from a different perspective, MSMEs from it's a different slot, then the SHGs and the grassroots are different. It's time that we look at the entire value chain and see the connect. It's only then I think the development starts happening. That is one which I thought about the agri, right? And even when we are talking about so many hospitals coming in. But what about number of enterprises which can also come in to feed the hospital sector which is growing? Are there any manufacturing happening here? Can there be, along with the hospitals that we are creating, we are also saying that so many number of enterprises come in for particularly maybe
let's
for waste
hope
management.
that'll lead to that. These infra coming in will lead to that. Janki, Goswami, 1,000 hospitals, 1,000
primary
health
healthcare
centers to be
centers,
converted into hospitals, 5 medical colleges. That's a big number.
It gives a boost. It will strengthen up the healthcare system and also
Almost
ensure penetration of the healthcare system to the nook and corner of the state. Because if you see, there is also a promise of building a medical college in Tamulpur. Tamulpur will be soon declared a district, and there will be a medical college coming up in Tamulpur. So, to have a medical college, a huge medical infrastructure like a medical college in a place like Tamulpur, that itself shows the commitment of the government towards the health sector, towards building up the health sector, and also the establishment of 1,000 primary healthcare centers will also ensure that during these times of the pandemic, we have also seen how these medical centers have helped the people in receiving treatment, in getting tested, in receiving treatment during the times of the pandemic.
And we are also talking about around 100 institutes to be converted into centers of excellence.
Exactly, yes.
Mr. R.S. Joshi.
And one more thing, as Mrs. Baruah was talking about the agricultural boost in Assam. If you see in this budget, there is also a special mention about, it's basically the idea is to build up Assam to be self-sufficient, at least in terms of agriculture. Today we have seen, if you have seen the post of, the lemon, the kaji nemu of Assam getting placed in the markets of UK. So that is also a matter of pride for us. Now the government is talking about building doing excavation of ponds in the community land of the rural areas, so that we can have more ponds, we can have more fish, production of fish increases. So that itself shows the commitment of the government, another commitment of the government towards making the state self-sufficient in terms of agricultural production, in terms of fish production. That will also help our rural economy sector.
Absolutely. R.S. Joshi, of course, it is said to be a continuation of the last government, rightly so, BJP-led government in the state. But do you think also, in a way, the few steps, a step as basic as procuring procuring directly from the state's weavers, a step as basic as that can go a long way, and this government is showing its intent to try and make some permanent changes?
Yes, the intent is very good. And see, wherever the earlier announcements were made by the government is not hesitating in fine-tuning all these schemes wherever they are under implementation also. While taking this liberty, I just again touch one like Madam mentioned about the agriculture. One good step is the setting up of Agriculture Commission this time. See, if we have the good people heading the Agriculture Commission and consisting of the experts having track record, and particularly in our area similar to that of Northeast, that can really make a big change. Our economy happens to be agrarian. There is no doubt about it, and we need to address systematically. And Agriculture Commission, the concept is really good. I think this should make a good change. And another thing, the government has a clear roadmap, like fisheries and so many other things. They have a 5-year roadmap. By that time, we will be having self-reliant in all these areas. Yes. So there is a timeline now, and I think lot many things we can expect from the government, because the government do listen to the people. Lot many suggestions by the general masses this time. They have taken it very rightly.
They have incorporated a lot of things in the budget.
Incorporated.
Yes.
And I would just like that some new thoughts be given to the budget. One could be, we should be preparing the balance sheet of the state of Assam. Right now, see, whatever you spend, that is accounted for, whatever you get, that is accounted for. But what about the accrued liability? What about the pending liabilities? The liabilities still lying for years and years. We need to account for all these things and then come out the state of what is the status. So that's the area one maybe the person of Mr. Himanta Sarma can dare to come out with all these facts and figures. This is the time. But see, if you analyze the figures of budget, lot many good features, but still one thing, but because they could not do it because of the pandemic, even if you see where the money comes from and how the money goes out, see, one big spend is on the salary and pension. And the figure is growing. So we don't mind, let there be a good package for our people, but on the other hand, income should also be correspondingly increasing. It should be increasing. If you analyze this year's the budget figures, around 1/5 only comes from the state taxes. Only 1/5 money state tax revenue comes. Rest comes from the other sources, be it grant from central government, central taxes, finance commission grants, etc., and borrowing to the extent of 17%. So when we talk about 1,07,000 crores rupees budget, so more than about 18,000 crores we are just borrowing.
That's exactly what the Chief Minister had mentioned a month or so ago when he was talking about the oil sector, and when he was talking about some people saying that, for decades that the center is exploiting states like Assam or the Northeast, whereas
we had not even received the royalty which was due to us.
So this was something
now-
which is
now-
saying
now
that
things
yes,
have changed,
we should thank
certainly.
the center also, and we should see the real figures. We
Around
should go to the
800 crores of
data.
royalty was pending.
Mr. Mahanta, despite all this, do you think a lot of things have in a way remained untouched? Yes, we have under the Assam Mala project, we have road works to the worth of rupees 5,000 crores that are going on. But as you mentioned, roads will be a challenge. Another is the floods. These are things that will test the government in the months to come. So far, so good. Yes, welfare budget. A lot of things taken care of, a lot of relief measures taken, but yet challenges lie.
One special boost has also been given to the women and child development. So if you see the amount which was allocated for Arunodaya has been increased to rupees 1,000, and also the size of the reach has also been increased by around 6 lakhs. Now 6 lakhs more people will receive the Arunodaya benefits. And if you also notice another thing, another very, as Wasbir Hussain has said, Mr. Wasbir Hussain has said, another extension of the human touch, that is the opening up of around 10,000 new Anganwadi centers.
Absolutely.
And, electrification of around 13,000 primary schools and Anganwadi centers. So those things are really noteworthy.
Last time they have announced 500 schools, but that was also not implemented properly. So this time also they are announcing a lot of scheme. But what about the last time they have announced it in the budget, and the feedback is there. So they are not able to implement all these things.
The government has tried to incorporate
kindly give me the time, because my time you are spending my time. So whether I have to say something or I have to sit, ma'am. That's you have to make. Give me clear, because if you are not giving me time, it is not possible for me to extend my own view from my party. So it's up to you.
Yes, go ahead.
So whatever I am saying, you see, the government should give a white paper, whatever they have given last time budget, because government is continuous, not directly coming from the election, because this government is continuous government, only few minister has been changed, chief minister changed, nothing else. So things is there, whatever they have given last time budget, a lot of things are there, like dragging of Brahmaputra, that establishment of 500 schools, Ussator Madhyamik Vidyalaya, that means higher education, higher secondary, like that. Then they have given a lot of scheme for implementation of the what's called rural urban house, rural house, like that. That they have given for budget for they have promised for four number of bridges from Brahmaputra river. So these things, a lot of things are there, but because of time spent is there, time factor is there. That's why I'm just pointing out some point. So if these things are not going on, and whatever you are giving in this budget, okay, budget is for implementation, for the development of the state, nobody will be doubt about all of this. But things are that if the accountability is not there, if the implementation, whatever the Joshi has already told, the implementation is main important. If there is no implementation, what is the reason of this thing, 1,07,000 crore budget? It is useless for the people of Assam if these whole things will be not implemented properly. So on behalf of Congress Party, I would like to stress whatever you have given the budget, it should be implemented. And whenever the next budget will be given, before that you have to give a white paper that we have implemented all these things. Otherwise, this is a jumla every time. Jumla budget will be there, and ultimately the people of Assam will be not benefited. This is clear.
The CAG report itself says that in the year 1920, the 83% utilization of funds.
Where is it? It is not
maybe you
in
have
proper
not seen
record.
the report. If you find the CAG
Give
report,
me the report, because 83, if it is implemented 83, the Assam will be top 10.
You can
But
also
it
check
is,
out the reports. Please check it out.
From downside, it is a.
You can
Assam is
also
taking
check
in
it out,
downside.
and moreover, when it comes to implementation or upkeeping the promises, we have already done so in our last government. He's asking about the construction of houses.
Before presenting the budget, it is a Momota Moi Matrir budget. She called it is Momota Moi Matrir. What about the price rises? Everybody, not only Congress worker, not only BJP worker, whole Assam is affected by, even in the department of the police, even the implementation department, everybody is affected by the price hike. What is the budget allocation for coping with this type of solution? What is the solution behind this tool? Every day the prices is going on, petrol prices, gas cylinder, all the commodities, food items, everything is happening. What is the budget regarding this welfare budget, Momota Moi budget? What is the counter of this budget?
Very quickly, Mr. Joshi.
See, all these ills can be governed, can be addressed by way of good governance, and in the very beginning of the budget statement, budget speech, the FM has said about the good governance. If that good governance
last time also
place,
they have given the
good governance
they have given good governance. What is the good governance? We have not seen.
Another good thing, see, about the resources, government has done earlier pretty good in the matter of excise collection by changing the policies and by plugging the loopholes. There is a good scope in good garnering more and more from the forest resources. And illegal coal mining, illegal coal trading, they have mentioned about. If we address these issues, I think we can have more revenue. But I must say, as a budget analyst, economy under the stress has been well managed. There is an increase of about 3,800 crores
well managed. Janki Goswami, last remarks from you.
This budget is a very exhaustive and inclusive budget, which is a people's friendly budget, and we hope to see a better future for Assam, not only in terms of this particular budget, but also by the fact that we are seeing the police taking action against drug abuse, the police taking action against all the cattle smuggling, etc.
The CM being very proactive, addressing all the departments from the
entire actions that have been undertaken in this last 2 months
but government
is a sign
is the
of
same.
progress and
Government
development.
is same. Last time also these things are happening.
I'm absolutely running short of time. Sriparna, Baruah, from 1 to 10, under the prevailing circumstances, how would you rate this budget between a scale of 1 to 10? Very quickly.
I would rate it on 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. Only thing is that, I wish it has raised a lot of hope amongst people. It has raised an aspiration, and rightly the agri and the allied sector has been given focus, because everyone is falling back on the agri and allied sector, and I think our answer lies in the agri and allied sector. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure the Congress will keep a track of things, and when we sit 6 months or a year later, definitely the Congress will follow up on how much of it has been delivered. Thank you, viewers. That's a wrap of this special broadcast tonight.
Thank you.